are viewing and who are on and who can get on. And so, Dorothy Tillman, whenever you get on, let us know so that we can ask you if you would have a comment or two, and if you would say a word. We are going to move now to Miss Ivy Lamb, who is an outstanding member of the Chinese American community. I mentioned that I represent Chinatown. I represent Greektown. We were in Chinatown on yesterday, but we really didn't just go to Chinatown on yesterday. We've been in Chinatown many, many days. As far as my engagement and involvement in electoral politics, I've never had a greater group of friends, nor a greater group of supporters than the Chinese American community in Chicago. We still got another conversation that's going on, so we got to check that and make sure that we're not crossing up things. But Ivy Lamb is not only actively engaged, she is a businesswoman, has her own business, but she's nationally engaged with the Chinese American Association. They come to Washington and lobby. And one of the best experiences that I've had.
It's another screen that just came up. It's a new one.
Could Tiama, I don't know if you hear us.
See if I can hear it.
I don't know if you all hear us, but you. Could someone call her and let her know that they are interfering with our activity? One of the great experiences that I had, I grew up in rural America, and there was one Chinese family that lived in the town next to my town, a little town called Eudora, Arkansas. And they had a grocery store. And they also had a son who went to the black school. We called him Dixie, and he was on the basketball team. And as I was talking to some of Ivy's friends, and they said they were from Arkansas at one time, although they live in California now. And they mentioned where they were, and I say, you gotta be kidding. And it turned out that this was the family that we knew that owned this one grocery store. And the one Chinese kid in that town went to the black school and was good enough playing basketball to be on the team. And it was just unbelievable. So it is a pleasure for us to acknowledge the work of Miss Ivy Lamb from the Chinese American community in Chinatown, who is an activist personified, and I met her actually with my good friend Herman Wong and Betty Wong, who have both been ill, but the relationships have continued. And Ivy, we congratulate you and thank you. Would you have some comments?
Oh, yes. On behalf of Chinese American Citizen Alliances, and I really appreciate what we got the honor today from Congressman Davis, and congratulations to all the ladies today. And we go through a lot of things in Chinatown this times, especially yesterday. We have really huge rally, and Congressman Daniel was with us, and we got a great support. And especially when I met Congressman Davis, I know what exactly was service, and I learned this from my good mentor, Mr. Herman Wong. And I learned how to service and without paying back. And I still remember when I stepped into the community, I got a lot of pressure because I was a woman, and a lot of like OD leader, they just don't let you help. And I kept telling them and say, we're trying to help, we're not trying to take this seat. Okay, but too bad, I go through a lot of things, but there's a lot, I made a lot of like good friends, good supporters, and especially on the last couple of years, we go through the World War II Chinese American veterans, Congressional Golden Medals, and we go through a lot of congressmen, a lot of senators, and we get those support. And because our organization named CACA, Chinese American Citizen Alliances, we're national, and we just try to be part of the United States. That's why when the Asian hate crime started, we all shocked. And that's why we need all the diversity, people help. And I really appreciated, what Congressman Dan Davis supported. And I like to say thank you all and congratulations to all the ladies and be nominated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I didn't mention it, but we do have awards for people that we will deliver because of the coronavirus. We will actually deliver them to each and every one of you. And we thank you so very much. There are illnesses. I mean, there are people who are up in arms about the coronavirus. There are so many different kinds of illnesses until it just ain't even funny. I mean, there are illnesses that you never hear of, that you don't know about. We have a reputation in Congress of being an office where if you've got an illness that's not one of the major things, that it's not a heart ailment, it's not cirrhosis of the liver, it's not something that everybody knows about, you can come to us and our folks will get involved with it. And there's something called autism. There's a large number of individuals and children especially who are autistic. A lot of people don't know what that is, don't know what it's about, and don't have any real awareness about it. Well, Deborah Vines has become a known entity as an advocate for autism, for individuals. She had a son who experienced it. And so she's been engaged and involved for as long as I can remember as the lady who advocates. She's developed her own organization. She's worked on the issue at the state level. She's worked on the issue at the national level. She lives in Maywood, Illinois. She's actively engaged and involved. And we want to not only thank her for the work of educating people around this issue and helping them to know about it, but for also doing what you have done to get other people engaged and involved. So, Ms. Deborah Vine, if you are on, would you have some comments?
Yes.
All right. She may not be at the moment, but we'll get back to her. I understand that Bishop Pettis is on the phone. And so we're going to hear from her in a moment, Bishop Jenny Pettis, who has built a magnificent church. Not only built it, but paid for it. Actually, the President of the United States of America has been there. I know he's been there because I took him there. Barack Obama has been there and often has talked about being there. I know when she started her church, and I know people who've been trying to build churches ever since I've been in Chicago. And I've been here since 1961. And they still haven't built a church. But Bishop Pettis has not only built a church, for it, brand new. It is gorgeous. You go there and look at it. And she has contributed significantly to hundreds of young people going to college, getting scholarships, contributed to the Pinewood School, which is a top Black boarding school in Mississippi. Her children have come engaged, involved, and it's been my good pleasure to have known her since I was the 8th grade teacher for her son, Chip Jr. Way back. And so folks who know me know that must have been a long time ago. Bishop Jenny Pettis, are you on with us? Someone said she was on.
I said she was on because she called.
Okay, we won't worry about it at the moment because we'll get right back. But you know, red is a beautiful color. It's one of the most beautiful colors I've ever seen. And the woman wearing red that I see is an outstanding woman that I met when we were both getting started in public activity, organizing block clubs. And of course, she went on to raise a family of 7 children. All of them have advanced college degrees and do exceptional work. But she had an outstanding career as a public school teacher and educator, decided to take a run for public office, got elected to the Cook County Board, and became the first woman president ever to serve the second largest county board in the United States of America. Well, that couldn't be but one woman, and that would be President Bobby Steele. And Bobby, it is so good to be able to say congratulations to you as one of the outstanding women of our community who have made significant contributions of the well-being of our citizens. And I'd like to ask you if you would have some comments.
Thank you, Congressman Davis. And I want to just say that you have always been a part of my upbringing. When I didn't know what Chicago politics was about, I followed you around for years and years to learn. And I want to thank you for that because you did it with such grace and inclusiveness that I got a chance to meet many, many good people who, in a long run, helped me to become elected to many of the offices that I was elected to. So I want to thank you for your success in helping all of us to become better citizens, because you preach that every day. And I was wondering, how in the world could you do as many things that you did? So anyway, I'd like to thank you for being my role model in Chicago politics because I knew nothing about it. I'm from Mississippi. And in Mississippi, we had no chance to participate in politics except to do what the folks said do. And my parents did that well. So I just like to thank you for your leadership, especially in healthcare.
It's good, ain't it?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I have a really bad connection where I am, but I just want to say thank you so much, Congressman Davis and Vera Giles, for this amazing award to be honored with such great women. I'm super honored, but the connection here is bad. I'm like doing 5 things at once today, but God bless you all and congratulations.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Miss Deborah Vine. Bobby, go ahead.
Okay, and I'd like to congratulate all the fine women that I see in this activity this morning. Betty Magnus, who was always a great help to me and to other women. And Vera Davis, I think I saw her. Yeah. The picture has disappeared now. Vera has always been an example for me, a classy woman. You know, so as I said before, I'm from Mississippi, and we weren't taught too much down there except to work in the fields, that is. So I'd like to congratulate Vera for her patience, because having a husband in public service requires a lot of patience and endurance. Because I know what my husband went through when I was trying to become elected to office and out there sharing my time with the public when he thought maybe I should have been at home. But he tolerated me for 52 years. I see a lifelong friend there, Hattie Ratner. Wow. So good to see you, Hattie.
Thank you, my dear. It's a pleasure to see you, and congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I hope I didn't miss it. I'm not reading so well. I'm 84 years old at the moment. Oh, God. I don't see as well as I used to see. So I hope I didn't miss anybody. But I just like to say congratulations to all of you, because it takes effort to go out there and serve the public and take care of your family and yourself. So the contribution that you have made to our society, I'd like to congratulate you. And
right, 48.
I beg your pardon?
I said you look like 48, not 84.
All right, well, I'm 84. Yes. Thank you so very much for sharing this time with me, Congress. And it's just like you to do something like this.
Well, thank you. And I can tell you that, of course, your husband was my son's great friend and mentor, and he just loved Mr. Steele. Yeah, Mr. Steele was his main man. And so he just loved Mr. Steele. So thank you for all of your contributions. And I'd also now like to move right to Miss Wynonna Redmond, a young woman who grew up in the community, of the community, by the community, for the community. She is a journalist, but she's really much more than that. She is a journalist who is on the ground with the people. She's actively engaged and involved with the Black Journalism Association, with other Black journalists from all over the country, who make sure that information that gets out about the communities where we live and where we are is accurate and described in a real kind of way. She has worked with everybody from the NAACP to PUSH to every group and organization that you can think of. She does an outstanding job, lives in Oak Park, Illinois, and if you is on with us, would you please have some comments?
Congressman Davis, thank you so much. I don't take lightly the word history. After we've gone through so much with COVID, I reflected on my history with you and knowing you since I was a schoolgirl and met you at the CNDA headquarters for the Chicago Northern District Association of Club Women, where Ida B. Wells and her daughter, Michelle Duster, all of that history with the Federated Women. Congressman, I just, in reflecting on the history, I said I've worked with a lot of elected officials, but I met you as a schoolgirl. So I've seen you as an alderman, as a county commissioner, before a congressman. And I just appreciate what you've done. And I think that we have to value your legacy, your worth, and your value in Congress and what you do for a diverse universe of citizens. And we know behind every man is a good woman, but behind you, there are so many wonderful women, starting with Vera, with Sharita, Tiama, Nikki. You just have a wonderful team. And I'm honored to be in the company of so many women that I respect and love. The Woman of Steele, Hetty Radner, Deborah Vines. I'll get in trouble, Betty Magnus. So I'm honored to be in the company of women today. But history really is a valuable word today. And I hope that we continue to value your history, your service, and your standing, and why we need you to stay where you are at. But thank you for this honor. I'm humbled, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. And you must have been first grade or something. You're not old enough to have been a teenager or nothing if you was a school
I
girl.
was in grammar school, but when we were over at the ABC Center with Ruth Watson and all of the CNDA women from Lawndale Civic and Education, a lot of them have gone on, but you've just been a longtime servant, and to even be thought of, I'm happy to support and work with your team. Sometimes I feel like I work on your team, but thank you for all you do. And thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate what you have done and what you continue to do. I understand that Bishop Pettis may be on with us now. So, Bishop, if you are, would you just unmute yourself and give us some comment? Or at least someone thought that she was. So we'll find out in a minute, and we will know. You know, I've been around school teachers and people who are educators, but I've been around families in our community that many people don't really know much about their families and how families were able to do things and do them together. I remember this particular family when there were 4 people running for a political office, and everybody in the family just about was supporting a different candidate. And it wasn't no big deal. And they all had their relationships with different people. For example, one brother was supporting one candidate because he had been that candidate's husband's bodyguard. He was a Chicago policeman, a fellow named Hesse Stewart. Hesse had been George Collins, who was the congressman's bodyguard, and he was supporting Miss Curtis Collins. Stewart's father was supporting a fellow named Otis Collins. And then Vivian and Catherine, her sister, they were supporting a young guy, Milton Gardner, who was a young lawyer, and they were part of the movement. But it didn't really matter because they were engaged, involved, and they knew why they were doing what they were doing. And of course, Vivian was going to school learning to be a teacher to go with the activism that she was already engaged in. And so I just called her a premier community activist. She has helped send hundreds of young people to colleges and universities, helping raise money for scholarships over at Third Unitarian Church as a part of their scholarship effort. But most, she has been an educator who held management's feet to the fire and is an activist. Just someone was asking about, and we were joking in terms of my saying I really didn't need no biography of Vivian because I knew her biography. I knew her work. I knew what she has meant. And it is so good to see a premier activist, retired educator, still engaged, still holding people's feet to the fire. It's nothing like getting a call from Vivian saying, now y'all better do so and so and so. You better watch out for this. So Miss Vivian Stewart Tyler, we are delighted to acknowledge you as an outstanding woman who has done significant work in our community in which you have some coming. You have to unmute yourself in order to do that. There you go. You're coming. You still got to unmute.
In the left-hand corner.
In the left-hand corner.
Click on the microphone.
She just hit something different.
Mm-hmm.
You click the video. You need to click the microphone.
Tell you what, while you're continuing to find it, I see Bishop Jenny Pettis. Bishop Pettis, we've already said a lot of good stuff about you, and we've told people how you are one of the most effective preachers, I'll just say that I've ever met. You remind me, you're just a gentle lady, nice, wonderful, delightful. But when she gets behind the pulpit, Lord have mercy, you are in for something. Bishop Pettis, would you have some comments? And you've got to unmute too. This muting business sometimes gets to be kind of, there you go, right on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I first want to thank you and all of you that would have me on this afternoon. I thank you for the great things that you said about me, and I will be caught in the next 2 or 3 years trying to live up to that. And hats off to all 20 of these ladies, trailblazers, legends, leaders, and whatever. And I know God has been with you because he has been with me. 40 years I've been pastoring right here on the west side of Chicago, and I've been blessed by the congressmen and other political leaders and religious leaders here on the west side. And I thank God you keep praying for me. I'll keep praying for you and pray that I would be the preacher and the lady or woman that God is calling for in these last and evil days. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. We just appreciate the leadership that you have provided Would you just mention some of the things that Family Altar has done? I mean, you've done so many outstanding things, and it's been such a great thing to see young people grow up and be who they are as a result of your leadership.
Well, I would like to say we have helped to send more than 58 children to college. And so far, I've been pastoring 40 years. And in those 40 years, I've had approximately 80 to 90 children. And I've never had to go to court for either one. God has blessed them. They have stayed out of trouble. And they have grown spiritually, numerically, financially, and academically well. And I'm proud of every one of them. I wish all of them were still in our church. But when I think about it, if I was still where I was when I started out, when people helped me, I would still be in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So I'm just grateful for what the young folk are doing. And let's continue to pray for them and keep our arms around them. I'm grateful that I was blessed with the help of Alderman Burrell and Congressman Davis to purchase land on the west side of Chicago over 20 years ago. And we have built a great edifice and we are paid for. These are some of the things that I am so grateful for. And we are continuing to keep our hands in God's hand. And He's led us. We have 24 classrooms. And the thing that I brag on is the 17 bathrooms. Not stalls, but 17 bathrooms. With the prophet's quarters of a 2-bedroom in that building. And you're invited to come and see it anytime you want to. God bless you and God keep you.
Thank you so very much. And I urge anybody who have not seen and have not been, go by and take a look and you will be delighted. I see a hat, which is an indication to me that the Honorable Dorothy Wright Tillman has joined us. And Dorothy, we've talked about you. Now we'd like to ask you if you would make some comments yourself.
Let me just say that I'm sorry I was a little late, but I go to Liberty. We had a funeral today, and I just left Leaks at a funeral. So I was rushing. I almost got a ticket getting back to you, Danny. Representative Davis. I said, Leak was talking to me, and I said, I have to go, Reverend. I said, Danny's waiting on me. Representative Danny Davis said, what? I said, I'm on a Zoom with him. He's the only one I would take on Sunday. I don't know what you said about me, Danny, and I don't know what you want me to say. It's so much to say. What do you want me to say?
We said about you, so you can say anything you want to say.
I don't know, first I want to thank you for having me. I see all these great women. I see Betty and Vivian and Bobby and everybody. I know almost all of the ladies that you have here, even from Family Altar. My daughter-in-law mother is one of the ministers over there. But let me just say that I thank you for having this, and I think this is what we've done over the years. When I think of you, Danny, I think about us walking around all over the south side of Chicago, talking about street of beater, Harold would defeat her, and walking places, doing different things. And when I talk about Danny, I want to say Congressman Davis, I'm sorry. Vera, when I think about Congressman Davis, and I just think about he came from the bottom up, that's why he's always, in terms of the community. And you got a lot of community people here who have really been active in shaping and molding our community. Certainly, our community is very unique. I mean, a lot of people write a lot of things about what they did and how they put Harold in and what went on, but I see a lot of ladies here that's working hard, but you too was there, Danny. And when I came to Chicago, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what you said. I'm trying to figure out in my head what you might have said, because there's so many parts to me, there's so many facets. about what I can talk about, whether it's be it political, economically, whether it be about the struggle that we've gone through as a people. I think it's, when I think about women, especially Black women, the role that we have played in our struggle since we've been in this country, and the role that women, Bobby, that we played in this city in terms of where we've gone and what we're doing and what we have to go. So that's why I'm proud to be here today, because I think, Betty, we have to figure out a way to not mentor, but pull these young ladies together to really teach them and try to help them to know where they must go to that next level if our community is going to survive. We fought with the parent equalizers of Chicago. We said, close those factories of failures. And we worked hard we got rid of continuous progress, mastery learning. And we really was fighting to try to equalize education during that time. And that was before we even put Harold in office, Dan. That's when we formed CBUC during that time. Danny was a founding member of CBUC. I too was a founding member of CBUC. BIPO, Black Independent Political Organization. Danny was part of it. We spent many days in George's house with Lou Palmer, talking about that struggle and what we had to do and how we had to do it, and really galvanizing and pulling our community together to make them understand. But then when you look at today and you see that our schools are still factories of failures, that we have, to me, some of the worst schools in the nation when they're taking out science and math and music, and it's really not what it should be. That's why we need to, Betty, talk to some of these young ladies and these mothers and fathers, not because I believe I'm a family person. Someone called the show the other day and said, when I knew you, you wasn't like that. You seem conservative. I said, most Black people are conservative. We believe in God, family, and we believe in that, in education. If that's conservative, then it is. So to be on here with these young ladies, we're still seasoned women, and to be really honored by you and to think about what we have to do. I'm just honored to be here. Maybe we all get together and have, when this COVID is over, y'all, and have us a little coffee, tea, and talk about what we can do. But it's so many things. When I first came to Chicago, I told my mother I didn't want to be here. I never thought that I would end up, that God had sent me to play this role that we have played with a lot of these other great women here that's on this forum. But I came here in 1960, first got here in the summer of 65 with Dr. King, as we toured and we nailed that thing up on Daley's office, and then to be assigned here in October 1966 to work on open housing and many other things. But I have enjoyed what we have done in Chicago, and to meet Vivian and all you ladies and so many great women in Chicago who have really been the foundation of this movement in this city and in this country.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And we are just delighted to have known you, to have been a part of you, to have been with you. And I never shall forget when my mother died, I gave Dorothy Tillman her last hat.
Yes, he did.
It was an honor for me to give to Dorothy Tillman my mother's last hat that she bought, because she liked hats as well. And I was honored to be able to pass that hat on to an honorable lady, the Honorable Dorothy Wright Tillman. So
but let me say, Danny, that Congressman Davis, and that next council meeting, I wore that hat and I told everybody this was a hat put on my head from Danny Davis, who was the alderman during that time, and that I know on top of that hat was a lot of wisdom went into my brain, Danny. Thank you so much.
Well, we've had some fun. We really have. Vivian, I see you got back. Did you get unmuted?
I think I am.
All right. Yeah.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure. It was a beautiful surprise that you would choose me to be among these wonderful women. And may I say, your beautiful wife, she has been the angel and been the wind beneath your wings. She stood there and she was strong and vibrant and just a wonderful person. And I love you, Vera. You've been a great first lady for us over here in the 7th Congressional District. And keep on doing what you keep doing because you look great. You're wonderful. And Danny, you know we the same age. We are the same age. But I think we still have a lot of work to do. We have so much work to do in our communities. And it's up to us, the more seasoned women of Chicago, more seasoned Black women of Chicago, to take a few women by the hand and say, this is how you do this. And come go to this meeting with me. And let's have this. And I think of young women in my neighborhood like Pat Davis and Sarithia Reed and Jasmine Jackson. And it's so many that each of them are goddesses in their own right and willing to step in and help lead this community and other communities to a more vibrant and better Chicago. So we must work together and work with the congressman to see that everybody have a chance in doing what they can do best. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much. Absolutely. You know, when I first went to Congress, I served on the Small Business Committee. And there was a lady engaged in helping women who wanted to go into business, women who had ideas about business, women who wanted their own business. And there was a woman named Hetty Radner, who was the guru, if you will. If there was a czar of women, small businesses, and women-owned business, Hetty Radner was it. And all of the programs that exist now for women-owned businesses, for women trying to get into business, for women trying to get help, Hetty Radner pioneered much of that activity. And so, Hetty, I want to acknowledge you for the tremendous work that you've done. Also, to say thank you for what you have meant. There are more Black women-owned businesses emerging right now than there has ever been in the history of America. And there are more entrepreneurs. Small business still is the main economic engine that drives America. Hetty Radner has been a great part of that development. And Hetty, we say thank you for your outstanding work and would you have some comments?
Certainly. And thank you. It's a great honor for me to be among all these wonderful women, as you were saying, Vivian, seasoned women. It's been a long, hard struggle with civil rights and women's rights and human rights. And I'm honored that Danny Davis, our wonderful congressman, has really been a leader on all of those progressive issues that are so meaningful to all of us. The work of my organization, the Women's Business Development Center, which I am semi-retired from and am now president emerita, has served tens of thousands of women in Chicago, Cook County, and in other Midwestern states. And right now, because of COVID and the pandemic, our organization has been selected both by the SBA, the state, the county, and the city to provide additional financial assistance to our small businesses, especially those on the south and west side, and those organizations and businesses that are owned by women of color. And we've been enormously successful. Over $150 million were either granted or lent to the women in this area. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud of my relationship with so many of you, Betty Magnus and my dear Bobby Steele, Wynonna Redmond, and I haven't seen Ira Cohn in many, many, many years. That's a pleasure to see you also. But Danny, thank you. It is a great honor. And I'm especially pleased to be a part of this wonderful Women's History Month presentation. And if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to.
Well, thank you so much. And again, we can't appreciate enough what you have meant to the women's own business movement.
Thank you.
There's always somebody who's the first of everything. And a woman named Anna Langford was the first African-American woman elected to the Chicago City Council. Anna was vibrant, feisty. She was an attorney. She also was the person who gave the first $1,000 to ownership of the first. I tell you, things at different times were so interesting. I was telling somebody about a meeting where I was long before we ever ran for any office and all of that, where the group voted to put Anna out of the meeting because he was fair-skinned and somebody thought that she was not black. And they actually made a motion, quite frankly. Bobby Wright, Dr. Bobby Wright, that we named the Bobby Wright Health Center, Mental Health Center after. Bobby made a motion to put Anna Langford out of the meeting. And so when James Weldon Johnson say that we've come over ways that with tears have been watered, or when people say that the struggle has been tough, they're talking about a lot of things. They ain't just talking about some little thing. This business of just promoting blackness was pretty tough. A lot of folks don't know it because they wasn't involved in it. And they didn't go to the meetings and stuff. And they didn't know the expressions that people made. They didn't know that people would be fighting and crying, and meetings would last until 12 and 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, where people were just trying to reach agreement on something. And so Anna, of course, was put out of the meeting. She cried, and she was mad, and she cussed the group out. Of course, she then went on and ran for the Chicago City Council and become a leading voice for the oppressed in the Chicago City Council for as long as she was there. She was always a contributor to causes that she believed in because she was an attorney and she did work and she did have access to some resources that a bunch of other people didn't have. And so Anna Langford paved the way for Dorothy Tillman and for all of these Black women that we currently have in the Chicago City Council. I don't know if her son is with us, but I do know that Larry Langford, some of you know that he exists. You may not know that he's Anna Langford's son, but if you don't, I'm telling you that he is. And I often hear him with news information on the radio a great deal because he's had a career as a journalist and as a news guy for as long as I can remember. And so if Larry is not there, then I remember Anna Langford, remember her well. And her last run for office, She started to run for Congress at the same time that Bobby Rush ran and was elected, even though she withdrew from the race, but her name was still on the ballot at that time. She served as alderman of the 16th Ward and did an outstanding job of doing it. Since I'm talking about elected people, we have individuals in suburban communities who are running for office and getting elected. And of course, those of us in the city don't always know about them, but there's still a lot of firsts going on. A lot of times when people are the first this and the first that. And so when I often say that just because we've gotten to the basement, let's not think that we're in the penthouse, because we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of progress that we need to make. And so we keep getting up, up, up. And I'd like to congratulate Miss Shelby Miller for being elected clerk of the village of Westchester, Illinois, and for being the first African American elected to the position of clerk. She's served as a trustee and as clerk of the village of Westchester, Illinois, which is a little bit to the west of the city. And Shelby, congratulations to you, and would you have a comment?
Okay. Well, thank you, Congressman Davis, to Ms. Vera, Sharita, and your staff. I just want to say, it's first of all, it's good to see all of you. I thank you for this recognition, and I congratulate as well as salute all the other women that you have chosen to acknowledge today. So I also thank those that have gone on before me, whose shoulders I stand on. I certainly don't take that for granted. I just want to pass on to others, that may be coming behind me, just to have an awareness of, who they are and who they want to be. In my case in particular, I have a heart for service. As you, Congressman, our families have known each other for many, many years. And I just look at the example that you have set throughout the years and just the heart of, the service that you have for the community. And I just applaud that, as well as, the women that are, as I mentioned earlier, that are being recognized here today. So I just want to say thank you. We're here recognizing women. I just, in case we don't see each other anytime soon, just want to thank you and let you know that we also love and appreciate you.
Thank you very much. And the west side of Chicago kind of gets the thing. And in terms of being the last port of entry for the migration from the rural South. And so a lot of people think that individuals, but I think of an era when a woman named Rachel Ridley was appointed the director of the Chicago Commission on Human Relations, who lived on the west side, and she was appointed by Jane Byrne. Also, a woman named Viola McGowan, who was vice president of the Park District Board, appointed by Jane Byrne. But also on the Board of Education, there was a woman, and we all know their family, and especially do I know her son, but Viola Thomas was vice president of the Board of Education. Ms. Thomas lived right not far from where I live. She was a public school teacher. She was a math. I remember her area was math. She became a coordinator. She unfortunately was involved in an effort for someone to rob her, and but she was appointed to the Chicago Board of Education by Mayor Jane Burns. She became vice president, and of course, her son has been an activist socially and politically and all the time. And I know that he's on with us. So, Clarence, would you tell us a little bit about your mama?
First of all, Congressman, I want to say thank you to you and the committee. Hello, Vera. Hello, Sharita. Hello, Bobby Steele. Vivian. I even see Ira. I haven't seen you in a long time. Sherby, my home girl. But I just want to say thank you for honoring my mother today. You know, because I honor her on a daily basis still to this day. And I miss her so much. But today, this is fitting, Congressman, that this be you having this program, because it was you, as Alderman Danny Davis, who put her name in nomination to be on the school board. So this is just bringing it all home as far as I'm concerned. And I just want to thank you for putting my mother's name in the company of all these fine women that you're honoring here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your family has been a stalwart in this community. I also was fortunate to know your father and to know the outstanding work that he did. He was the administrative assistant to the congressman. There's so many things that people don't know about other people and about the things that go on around them. I know that somebody is on that know Ida Mae Moe Fletcher very well. Moe Fletcher was the premier organizer for education, the most effective I've ever known. Moe Fletcher actually worked for Montgomery Ward, and she was an industrial spy. She broke up the big theft ring that was going on at Montgomery Ward, where she went undercover and people were stealing truckloads of refrigerators and stoves and all those things. And she broke that up. She went undercover as a mole, but then she had an accident and couldn't work anymore. So she decided to become an education organizer, and that's what she did. She organized the United Concerned Parents. Then she'd add the teachers to it and say teachers, community organization. She added everybody to it. And she was just outstanding. Unfortunately, Moe got sick. She had cancer and died. And I thought it was very interesting because it was the first funeral that I had ever gone to, and was on the program to say something and couldn't say a word. I mean, the impact of her death was such. So Ida Mae Moe Fletcher was just outstanding. And I know that somebody, I don't know who, is anybody here from Moe Fletcher's family?
Yes, this is Sherry Fletcher.
Oh, Sherry, oh my goodness, Sherry, please.
I'm Ida Mae Fletcher's youngest daughter, not the youngest, because she has 4 children that are living. And as Mr. Davis, Congressman Davis has said, that my mother was really an activist. She really wanted to make sure that students had a quality education. One of her things was that she didn't care whether the child was white, black, brown, blue, pink, or polka dot. She just wanted to make sure that they got a chance, okay? And the reason that she actually, became involved in the schools is because they stuck tacks in my twin brother's seat. And she said that this was not acceptable. So she started to participate in the schools. She became friendly with our district superintendent. So like therefore for our particular district. And also too, she worked with, like, hey, if she found that there were not good teachers or principals, she worked on, getting them removed. Okay. There is a child parent center that is named for her in the city of Chicago, and of her hard work because her children are flourishing and everything. And we have gotten advanced degrees. So Mom really helped us out, and she helped a lot of kids and stuff, which is unknown because you never know, who's your help and everything like that when you're an educator or when you're an activist and everything. So therefore, Congressman Davis, thank you very much for the honoring my mother and stuff. I think she'd probably be chuckling. And I remember too, you was at the Better Boys Foundation, so she had some good times, okay? And he probably knows more than better than I do because I was young at the time. So once again, thank you.
You were young. As a matter of fact, all four of you were young, and all four of you just went right on to school and got advanced degrees. You and your sister and two brothers. Fletcher would be, she'd be delighted to know that, and she'd be happy about it. We're really almost down to the end of this, but I have a Dr. Elizabeth Rockhardt that I want to mention, whose father was an outstanding minister in our community, built a great church, but Elizabeth and her brother took on his work and they kept alive his ministry. Her brother became the pastor of the church, and it's a wonderful church, but Elizabeth became the program manager and the organizer, and the two of them together. I often say that when people talk about unification, that the Rockhardt children represent the best because they've got the best program going for veterans. They've got an outstanding church that they run, and they've got businesses that they've developed. And so Dr. Elizabeth Rockhardt, we salute you for being one of the outstanding women of our community, and we're delighted to make that acknowledgement. Elizabeth, are you still with us?
Absolutely, absolutely, Congressman, I am.
All right. Would you have some comments?
I sure will have some comment. First, I want to say that favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. And that is what you're doing today, Congressman. You're praising the wonderful women. And I want to just take this moment to thank you and your committee, Vera, Davis, Sharita. I want to thank you for taking this opportunity to even acknowledge the work that we're doing on the west side of Chicago, specifically at 4941 West Chicago Avenue. And it's an honor to be with such great women this afternoon. I'm so elated. I'm so delighted to hear of their great works. And I've written a lot of things down, and I'm going to hold most of them to what they said. I'm going to look for the tea, the Tillman. I'm getting ready for the tea.
Bishop Pettis, I'm looking to come and tour your facility and to engage with you and all those that made some promises. I'm looking because I think that we are better together. And we definitely can continue to learn from one another as we continue to grow. So I just want to say thank you for this space and for this opportunity that you have given to share. I want to just say this, that you're really not supposed to mix politics and religion together. But my dad, Dr. Arthur Rockhardt, my dad, who was pastor of Healing Temple Church of God in Christ at that time, we were located at 5916 West Rice Street. And Congressman David, he was the alderman at that time. And so my dad kind of mixed everything together. He just mixed it together. And he would put on fundraising and he'd be out there campaigning. He wanted to make sure that Congressman Davids, he remained alderman of that ward. And when my dad moved from that ward, it was a great loss for Congressman Davids. He was the alderman at that time. Because he moved at that time, he had to move, and Percy Giles became his alderman, and he let him know. He said, "I know I'm in your ward, Percy." He said, "But Danny is my man." And so any person that my dad loved and respect, we love and respect him the same today. We honor him, and he's always speaking of the greatness of my father. And anytime you ever talk about anything about my dad, you automatically become a friend of ours. And there's nothing that we won't do and that we will not do to help Congressman Danny Davis. The whole family loves him and appreciates him for always lifting us up and keeping us before people. He's never forgotten that. He's never forgotten my dad. He's never forgotten the work. So I want to thank everybody for this space and this time. And Congressman, thank you again and your committee for thinking of us and thinking of the works of the Arthur Lockhart Resource Institute in the Healing Temple Church on the west side of Chicago. God bless each of you. Today is my prayer.
Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. We really appreciate your comments, but more than that, we appreciate the work that you do and the Reverend Arthur Lockhart Resource Center does. We appreciate your brother, who is always magnanimous as the pastor of the church, and we're just appreciative. You know, I met a lady during this period who came to work at the school where I used to work. And she was a brand new school teacher, just finishing her degree and that kind of stuff. And I kind of decided I would try and help her learn how to teach, you know, even though they teach you how to teach in teachers' college. You don't necessarily learn everything that you need to know. But she also decided ultimately to go to graduate school. And she made all A's in graduate school at Roosevelt University. And I always felt a little down because I ain't never made all A's in nothing. You know, some of us, when we graduate from school, it'd be cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude, and then thank you laude, and all of that. And so here's this person making all A's, but she developed an outstanding career as a high school teacher, interacted with many students and helped them go to college and got them engaged and involved, but at the same time remained active with her church and now serves as the chairman of the steward board at the church. In the Methodist Church, they have all these different levels of things. You know, those of us who may be Baptists, sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we don't follow all the same protocols and rules. But she also became actively involved with the NAACP and became president of the Chicago West Side branch. She developed something called the Bright Institute in honor of the woman who had been president. And she just continued to do outstanding work after retiring from school and education. She helped raise 2 sons, and she is known as a mentor to probably hundreds of younger women and has assisted so many of them through her sorority and as the head of it at different times and as the person in charge of this. She actually served as president of the Congressional Club. The Congressional Club is made up of the husbands and wives of the members of the president's cabinet, the Supreme Court justices, and the members of both the House and the Senate. And of course, along the way, she did get married and stuff like that. And did some other little things, but she is a stalwart in her family. She is the go-to person with her brothers. She didn't have any sisters, but with her brothers, she is the absolute go-to person. And of course, the individuals that I just described is Miss Vera Davis. And Vera, would you have some comments?
Thank you, Congressman Davis. And being part of this program is really nice. It's good to be recognized for some of the work that you've done, but I feel so honored to be part of so many outstanding women that you recognized today. And all of that I've done has always been a labor of love, doing what I feel can help somebody. So I thank you for the recognition, and I thank all of you who have spoken and called my name to recognize me as the force behind the man. But as someone said, there are many people that support him, but I just thank you for acknowledging me. And so I thank you again, Mr. Congressman. I appreciate you. And I love you.
Hand raised.
Well, thank you. Now, is Judge Hubbard, are you still with us?
Excuse me, Congressman Davis.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Okay, I just wanted to know if I can have permission to just say a few words.
Yes, ma'am, you sure do.
Davis, please.
You have all the. How do you tell a judge whether or not they got permission to do something?
It's not the judge.
That's Sharon talking, Annetta.
That's Sharon, I'm Sharon.
Oh, okay. Well, I was looking at Annetta Hubbard, I thought we.
Yeah.
But Sarah, go ahead, and then please go right ahead.
I just wanted to say a few words about Vera Davis. I was one of her students, and at Collins High School, I was a teenage mother. I was struggling. I was trying to get to school on time, and she was my teacher, and I just wasn't making it there on time. And even though she empathized with me, she wasn't having it. She basically set the foundation and said, "We've got to make it happen." And what I wanted to do is I wanted to say, I just want to thank you for inspiring me, for motivating me, for believing in me, because I don't know if you really realize how much you truly changed my life. I mean, Vera Davis made the recommendation to Sandra Reynolds that I get a summer job. And the summer job was about 2.5 hours away for minimum wage. And I said that to say this, is that she set the foundation. You know, she taught us confidence. She taught us the importance of integrity. She taught me the importance of, hey, believing in yourself and not letting anyone doubt that they're better than you. They may have more things than you, but they were not better than you. I just remember profoundly as I struggled to try to get to that job on time every day coming from the West Side. Little girl on the West Side taking 2 trains and buses, trying to get to this job. And I kept saying, I have to make it, and I will make it. One of the biggest things, and I'm gonna make this short because I know other people are there too. One of the main things is, one of her favorite saying is that when you know better, you do better. And I can firmly tell you is that what I learned from you made me advance to levels that I thought I would never advance to, made me realize what I had to do as a woman to take care of my child and also take care of my business. I think it was recognized at our reunion when students got up and said, oh, not only did Miss Davis teach us about business, she teached us how to take care of business. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Try not to be too emotional with it, but you changed my life and I love you. And you have changed so many people's lives. And thank you for being a chaperone at the ACE Council when we were trying to expose kids from the West Side to aviation. Not only did you find kids for me, you basically came and you chaperoned those kids. You were a diehard with those kids. And I just appreciate everything you've done for me and for all other people. Thank you so much. And I love you so much.
Well, thank you. Anybody? Judge Hubbard?
Congressman,
Yes.
thank you so much for today. I thank you for your journey that you have honored us with, your dedication, your staying the course, your persistence, your eye on the prize, all of the kind of things we say about the people we admire the most, and that's you. I join in the appreciation for you and for your lovely wife, Vera, who I hope to get to know better one of these days because I've admired her from afar. Today, not only have you given us a chance to see and hear from people who have enriched our lives and our communities, but to connect with them, to see people on your screen you made available that we haven't seen in ages, but we love and we respect and admire. And I'm not going to name them because I might miss one, and I love them all. I appreciate what you've done today and what you've done with your life that benefited all of us and continues to benefit us. I wish you in continued good health, chance to serve, and also to recognize yourself and reflect on what you have given us and be glad of your journey. I love you.
Thank you so much. Well, I can tell you, Judge Hubbard, you've been an inspiration to many of us, especially those who kind of traveled the political route. And we watched you as one of the early mavericks, chartering the course, being unbossed, and unapologetic for the positions and stances that you would take. So we thank you for being a pace setter and showing us the way. Anybody else? We're kind of open sesame.
I'd like to say thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. I just want to say thank you, Davis, for recognizing me among all these outstanding women. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Bernard for those kind words. I am humble and deeply honored for this recognition of my service. There wouldn't be a Vanessa without MacArthur, who is my hero. I promise to remain committed to improving quality service for my fellow citizens in the Austin and surrounding community. I just want to say thank you. Moments like this, I would treasure for the rest of my life. I am truly moved. Thank you.
Well, let me just say thank you and thank MacArthur. We say with pride that one of the top business establishments in this country is in the heart of the community where we live, work, and do what we do. And being able to just not even come to MacArthur's, but to just know that MacArthur's is there is I mean, we've seen people come in MacArthur's from different places throughout the country, bus loads of people and buses of people who come to Chicago who want to visit MacArthur's. And of course, Bernard, you know, some of us, our weight is always a challenge because when we come to MacArthur's, we don't quite know what to get. And what we don't know is when to stop. So thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
This is Ivy. I'd like to say thank you to Congressman Dan Davis and Mrs. Davis, and on behalf of Chinese community, and we're looking for the collaborate with the West Side and the whole Chicago actually. And we need all your support, especially during this critical period. And I'm going to say congratulations to all the ladies today get the honor. Thank you, Congressman.
All right. Well, actually, you know, history is not just those things that have taken place in the past, but history is ongoing. And so I did not mention, for some reason, Ms. Shirley Reed, who is the former director of community affairs for the village of Maywood. I don't mean Maywood, I mean Oak Park, Illinois. And of course, she was a classmate of one of the members of Congress who always asked Elsie Hastings. She and Elsie went to college together at Fisk University. And almost every time that I see Elsie, he asks about her. But of course, Shirlene has 3 daughters, Mary, Dorothy, and Lori, who helped integrate the Oak Park River Forest High School, which has been known for many, many years as one of the top public high schools in the United States of America. And so Shirlene ended up working for the village and did so for 2 decades as head of the village's community relations department, and has served as chair of the Women's Voters League and Human Relations Committee, not to mention all of the other things that she did, and really helped move the village of Oak Park to being recognized as an inclusive community where various and different groups of individuals live together, work together, and interact with a level of harmony that sometimes has not always existed in all communities. And those who know the history of these places kind of know some of that. So we appreciate the impact that Shirlene had. And of course, there was a time when we were hoping that Dorothy would become an elected official. We had one of the most interesting elections that ever occurred, where there ended up being a tie vote for state representative when Dorothy ran. And the judge ruled that the other person would be the person who was elected. They actually had a tie vote, and you flip a coin in those kind of situations. And Dorothy won the coin flip, but then the other group went to court, and the judge gave the election to the other group, though Dorothy had won the. So there are a lot of things that have gone on, a lot of fun. a lot of things that were not fun. If there's anybody that would like to have a comment or two before we shut down, we've still got a few minutes.
One of Dorothy Reed's daughters is on the call, I believe.
She
Thank you,
is?
Congressman.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Congressman Davis. This is Dorothy Reed. My sisters Mary and Lori are also on the call.
All right. Dorothy, tell us about your mother.
She was a special woman. Grew up in Pittsburgh. Moved to Oak Park in '68. She had spent some time. Her mother actually was the first African American female disc jockey in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
her
my
great uncle, my mother's brother, my grandmother's brother was Mal Good, who was the first African American newscaster on ABC.
Oh,
she came from a family of first. So when she became the first African American director of community relations, the first African American president of PTO, she was not amongst strangers. One of her favorite sayings was, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two." And as I listened to the other honorees, I think all of them had that same motto, is that there were things that they couldn't change, but as women, we know there are things we can change. And so I just thank you for honoring her. We miss her dearly.
All right. Well, I didn't know the Mal Good was her brother. I was a big fan.
That was her uncle.
Her uncle was
her uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that. I'm old enough to have been a big fan. I've always been interested in news and information and that kind of thing. And I also used to read the Pittsburgh Courier when we had access. Yeah,
That's where he started. Yeah. And yes, when my mom was younger, she had actually she was actually a disc jockey known as Little D. She had her own radio show, and her mother's name was Mary D. Not the same one here, but I remember when we first moved to Chicago and we would see Mary D on WGN, and it would always you could see the pain just hearing that name again, because her mother had passed when I was a year old, so it had been probably 6 years. But they eventually had a chance to meet. She did get to meet Mary D, and Mary D indicated that she had often been asked if she was Sherilyn Reed's mother because of the similarity and connection.
Well, let me tell you, Mary D, of course, was engaged here, I guess, all the way down from the time I can remember until the end of time. And of course, we all would joke and say she never really aged, and she stayed actively engaged, actively involved. The whole idea is that we often walk among giants and don't know it. I'm saying the Bible makes a point in terms of saying that a prophet is sometimes not recognized or noted except in his own hometown. And so there are some people who live next door to a giant, and they think the person is not a giant because they live next door to him. If they were in California or something, they say, "Oh, that ain't nobody, that's the man," because they live next door. They don't acknowledge them as being a giant. And that's really what the Bible was teaching at that point. Folks said, "Oh, Jesus ain't no big thing. I knew that cat when he was a little boy. Growing up, he wasn't nothing. He couldn't even slam dunk. he, you know, don't tell you he walked on the water and all that kind of stuff. Don't give me that. I knew him when he didn't have no shoes. So whatever. Well, we have kings and queens around us every day. We have people who make some of the most profound contributions that can be made. I got a book that anybody who involved with children. This book was written by Reverend Walter McCrae, and the title of it is "Get Grown and Keep Growing," and it's called the Self-Help Adult Maturity Book. And I think it would just be great if teenagers and young people all had a copy of it to read and understand what it means to be growing up and what growing up can be all about. So he brought me 500 that I'm going to give away to teenagers and ask them to read it. So that would just give them the opportunity. Two people I didn't mention, and I'm done, is Dr. Dorothy Sutton Branch, who actually was on the City College Board, lived in this area. She lived right at Adams and the Park, Mayfield and Adams. That's where they lived. And she was on the City College Board. Of course, they own the Branch Funeral Homes. And her husband was L.C. Branch. And I guess at that time was probably about the wealthiest Black person who lived in this area in terms of a lot of people died. They were dying then. I never will forget, I stopped by his funeral home one day and he said, I asked him how he was doing. He says, "Oh, I'm so tired." He says, "I've had 14 funerals this week." I said, "Yeah, I guess that is tough." Then he says, "I don't know why I'm complaining though. The more they die, the more money I make." I said, "Well, I guess you're right, Mr. Branch." So, Sharita, let me thank you for putting today together. The other person that I didn't mention was a woman named Rosemary Love. And Rosemary Love was one of the founders of the National Association of Community Health Centers, who are now celebrating the 50th year of their being. 3 of those first 10 centers were in Chicago. The Near North was one of them, and Near North has been over with us all day today, vaccinating people at the Rising Sun Missionary Baptist Church. I guarantee you that we've vaccinated more than 1,000 people by now, because there was about that many in line when I left, and they've been vaccinating all day. Howard Brown has been with them, and we've had a group of volunteer doctors and nurses and other people doing the vaccination. So we are delighted that they have done that. We vaccinated 994 a few weeks ago at the By the Hand Club. And we are getting ready to do another vaccination with CVS, the drugstore. CVS drugstores. We're going to do that one on the south side of the city at a YMCA. It's 50s. I don't remember exactly, something 100. So we thank everybody for being involved. Ed Coleman, it is so good to see you. We appreciate the work that you and your organization does. And our big effort right now is to help make sure that low income people know how to take advantage of the $1.9 trillion that we just passed in the pandemic relief bill. There are tax credits that individuals who don't even have a job can make use of and benefit from. There are tax credits for people who have children. There are tax credits for people who never filed income tax because they never had to file. And so they don't understand it. And so we've got to help make sure that they understand that there are resources available for them. There are about 12 organizations that will help them for free. They can just call them up and say, I don't really know how to fill out my income tax. I need some help to make sure that I can get the benefits. And so we are going to try and make sure that they don't leave this money on the table. It's the best bill I've ever worked on in my life. And if people don't make use of it, then of course it means that the benefit does not come to them. So Ira Cohen, thank you for helping us set this up. Jackie, Clayton, Tiana Romero, I know, put together Facebook and some other instruments so that people could participate. This, Sharita, has been outstanding. Thank everybody for being on, for being a part. And if you have any questions about the coronavirus relief package, rescue package, like I say, it's the best thing since the Indians discovered cornflakes. So give us a call and we'll give you the information. It's a bill that big. There's a lot of good stuff in it. Sherby, it's so good to see you. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon. And I'm going to go and see them wrap up over at Rising Sun. So have a great Sunday. Bobby, thank you. Thank you so much. All righty.
Congratulations, ladies.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Okay.
Thank you, Congressman and Sharita and everyone. Thanks, everybody. Congrats.
Thank you, Congressman. Good to see everybody.
All right. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
It's a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Congressman. Vivian. Thank you so
Yes, it's sure. It's good.
Congratulations,
Vivian. Richard Love, Fred Nance, Dr. Nance, it's a pleasure.
All good. Thanks
See you,
again.
Liz.
Jocelyn Murdoch, how are you? It is such a
I'm
pleasure.
wonderful, Congressman. Thank you.
All right. My next door neighbor when I lived over on Grimshaw Street.
Sure was.
Yes.
I'm gonna say how many years
My
ago.
cousin's on from
All
Dallas,
right.
Texas.
From Dallas, Texas, yay.
My cousin
Texas.
just got you.
All
Hey,
right, girl.
Richard, thank you.
Dan Rose, thank you, and Hubert for helping folks get out there at the outfit that flies people all over the world and that kind of stuff. Just a lot of wonderful people doing great things. Bob, feel ready. We thank you, Bob, for tuning in and being part
Wilbur. Hey,
of
Jennifer.
Wilbur Cook. Hey, Wilbur, how you doing? All right, you getting those assessments together, and I told somebody to call you today, as a matter of fact. So, yes.
Dr. Sowell looking good, looking like a little teenager. Dr. Sowell.
You're 57? Dr. Zenobia, it's about time for me to get to the dentist. We'll call tomorrow and make an appointment. Letha Spells, it is so good to see you. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's just been a great afternoon. I see somebody's brought some food in here. I hope it's, not fattening. Or at least I hope it's not the stuff Dr. Terry Mason wouldn't be if I eat. I have to slip and eat it because I do the thing with the doctors tomorrow night. And Dr. Terry Mason be making assessments about what people eat and what they shouldn't eat. And he said if you want to eat something that you ought to eat, make sure it comes out of the ground.
All right, good night, everybody.
That's all right. So, but if it's not, and it's walking around and all that kind of stuff, that's not necessarily good for you. So I'm going to try to go to the ground as much as I can and let it be that. So, okay.
All right.
Natalie House, Attorney House, we are always delighted to see and know and be in the same place. Marcella, that's Marcella Winters. That's Moe Fletcher's niece. Yeah, it sure is.
Congressman, you know my mom worked there many years. Moe Fletcher Parent Child Center. That's great.
All right. So yes. Well, we've had a lot of sheroes.
Yeah.
A lot of sheroes have come through. Miss Sheila Bew, it's so good to know that you are there. Mary Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Les Team West, it's a pleasure indeed. Sandra Udone. Hilliard, George Williams. George, if you're still there, it's good to know. If you're gone, it's also good to know. But there are a lot of women who've made our community whatever it is. And who have contributed in very significant ways.
Congressman?
Yes.
I would just like to say it's always been a pleasure connecting with you. The last real connection that we actually had, it was the great floods of the West Side. And I was speaking in behalf of the politician that I was working in their office at that time, Coy Pugh.
Oh, my Lord. Coy Pugh. Yes, indeed. Well, Mr. Pugh and I had a conversation just the other day.
Yes, sir. And I was speaking adamantly about how you guys have to deal with situations and how we as just regular citizens get a little upset because things aren't going our way. But I explained to them that you all had to address your families, your friends. You had to find out what was going on, what happened before you could even address us. So that was memorable for me because you appreciated me understanding and for me to speak for you guys. And I never forgot that. And I thank you for believing in me and giving me the chance to say something.
Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate that, because sometimes democracy, or this democratic environment that we live in, people don't always appreciate the competitiveness of it, and don't always appreciate the fact that you can disagree about a lot of things, and you don't have to be disagreeable. You just see it differently, and every person has not only a right but a responsibility to advocate their point of view and advocate for what they believe. And then we sort it out.
Yes,
and
sir.
that
Yes,
becomes the decision.
yes, sir.
That's
And I
kind
saw Dorothy Tillman, and it's been a while since I met with her. The last time I met with her, she was running for her position, and it's great to look and see all the people coming together, and we're still connected. That's the good thing, the connection.
It surely is. And I do believe that we're going to get the virus abated, and we're going to get our economy back rolling, and we're going to be all right. But
Yes,
the
sir.
first step is really in getting the virus abated so that we can move freely about and do things the way that we've sort of been accustomed to doing it. And I think we'll be just fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Congressman.
All right, it's a pleasure. Dr. Fred Ness, you're still around? George, that was a great meeting the other day of the Reentry Advisory Group. I enjoyed it, and it was just a good level of interaction. So the day is done.
All right.
All right. All right, I guess we can. All right.